Welcome on in, everyone, to the LCS Academy, powered by Verizon. I'm Mazel, joined by Joshi and Deserex today. Joshi, you're stuck with me for another day, but I love seeing your lovely face on my screen. Deserex, welcome to the party. Welcome to the craziness. I hope you're ready. You doing all right? I know you were sick. You feeling okay?
I'm feeling a lot better now. I've had time to recover, and now time to, of course, to recover from my emotional wounds from the games we played with Joshi. So, Joshi, I'm willing to give you another chance. We're back. We're back.
Hey,
about 3 weeks
will
ago?
Save,
yeah,
at this
I
point,
hold a
like,
grudge,
your
brother. I hold a
guys'
grudge.
track record.
You're worse than my
you guys'
ex at just dragging stuff up, man.
I am.
A little bit of
I am
tea
your
spilled
ex.
on the morning. All right, well, we got to get right to it because here we are in Academy yet again, and I want to go ahead and bring up the current standings of Academy itself, show off a little bit of where we are, where that clump is sitting at this point that we were talking about. I guess it's the blob we said yesterday, the clump. I go back and forth every
blob
single
is just
time.
a prettier word than clump.
Is it, though? I feel like clump has a little bit more nuance to it.
It's
It has a
got
little bit
nuance,
more...
but, you can have, like, a nice blob, right? You ever play, like, Maple Store or something?
it's
Those
a
are
nice
nice
clump?
looking blobs.
I'm just gonna say, by the way, take
They
a
have
screenshot.
smiles.
Take a screenshot of these standings because they're about to get shaken up. Things are getting a little bit wild after that 1 week break.
It was interesting to see some of the adaptations yesterday that the teams pulled out after that week-long break. But I still love to see that, yes, Golden Guardians, TSM Academy, Evil Geniuses Academy, all at the bottom, but not without a chance to make it higher up in the standings. Obviously, all 10 teams will make it into the postseason, but it would be nice to be in that top 6 position. Just saying. And I think that when you're looking at the way teams are kind of shaping out, it's really interesting comparatively to last spring, Joshi, where I feel like we are getting a little bit of the same vibes, but some differences.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a lot of the top contenders remaining the same teams, but the big thing does kind of shake out towards the bottom, right? We do have a lot of teams who are still in that blob. We still have some teams who are still trying to make their way back in. And I feel like that's where a lot of the attention has been drawn as to whether or not you're going to make it into the top 6 or be in the bottom 4. Because while you said you always make it to proving grounds, the question is, do you have to play a single elimination best of 3 before you can actually get to the double elimination part?
Exactly that. And, we were talking a little bit about the standings, what we're seeing this split compared to the last split, but I think something that we got to talk a little bit about and start talking about is yesterday, because we did have some craziness going down. But first of all, it starts with, Evil Genius is not too shabby, Desiree.
Not too shabby at all. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a 1-1 series, but my word, Evil Geniuses are really stepping up now. In this game number 1, it all started off with the triple kill that Will was able to grab over on the bot side, but that would not stop Cowrie and Surdy. This game number 1 turned into a back-and-forth 50-minute slugfest that would only be decided at Elder, and Evil Geniuses had something to say about that when it came to game number 2, because the Turkish slugger Cowrie on this Callista popped off, my guy. I mean, 10-0-6. His CS was 11.8 CS per minute. Not to mention the magic of the Poppy Jungle lockdown setting in this 1-1 victory coming in for Evil Geniuses. But my word, what a performance out of Cowrie.
I'm shocked. You guys are normally the ones who are all about pumping up Soligo, but I feel like he is the unsung hero. Yeah, Cowrie had all the kills, but it was Soligo getting everything done. Very nearly perfect gaming. 100 Thieves only giving up a single kill over the course of the entire game, and that is something to celebrate for Evil Genius as a team that we were, at the beginning of the season, expecting to be towards the top of the ladder, but right now, the fact that they're still able to challenge some of those teams that are already there gives us a little bit of hope for where they might be going in the last couple of weeks.
Against 100 Thieves, too. That's a team that we put in the top 2 already.
That's what I said, not too shabby.
Yeah, not too shabby.
Not too shabby. Not too shabby. For me, special shout out to Surdy. I didn't actually get to talk to him yesterday. I was really excited to get a little bit more of the mindset, right? He did whip out the Shyvana top lane a little bit out of ordinary, but also I was talking to Kelsey behind the scenes, and he's getting into the LPL watching. He wanted to do the co-streaming as well with Kelsey, and I think it's really cool to see Surdy adapting to the worldwide meta and as well as willing to bring it out in Academy, even if he's a little bit of the, I guess everyone's their own biggest self-critic, but in all actuality, right, like I feel like Surdy, in his bright moments, does back up what he's saying here in his tweet.
Yeah, it's definitely a position where it kind of makes me wonder who he thinks is the number 1, right? Because
it's got to be Tenacity, right?
Well, but Tenacity is not the portrait of consistency, right? That's what
Yeah,
makes me
true.
think it almost has to do with like Darshan. Maybe it's Darshan that Surdy thinks is better than he is, but it's still an interesting spot, right? We knew that Surdy was going to be one of the better top laners coming into the season. We know that Evil Geniuses really enjoys working with him and has a bright future potentially ahead of him, but you know, we haven't necessarily been seeing all of that, but we also know he's very confident. We saw yesterday he was saying that Evil Geniuses rocks everybody in scrims. Now, unfortunately, we don't get to see those, but it does give us some idea as to like maybe
got
this
one
team
We
is
got
a
a
little
glimpse
bit
of it.
better.
We got a glimpse
We
of it,
got one.
Josh. Come on, don't put him down that low. That was a banger series against 100 Thieves.
That was
They
good.
showed up. They showed
It
up
was.
big.
It was indeed. And, you know, keep on rolling through the upsets yesterday. It seemingly called the day of upsets, but we did have TSM Academy coming out with a huge upset win over FlyQuest Academy in a 2-0 fashion, which I find incredibly impressive, especially with the amount of shakeup in the roster. Yes, you can talk about the expected versus the unexpected with a lot of the LCS talent coming in. This should be how it goes for TSM Academy, but still, the execution needs to be done, and we got to see it, Joshi.
Yeah, it feels a little odd to me calling this one an upset, right? Because we know that these players are, you know, to put it simply, a lot better than a lot of the people that they have been coming in to replace. But the thing that we do know about them, they didn't have a whole lot of time to play together. And so seeing that while we were a little bit critical of some of their early plays yesterday, seeing that they are still able to come out and just play pretty standard League of Legends, go for a lot of these normal things that you would expect these veteran players to accomplish, and still do them without having worked together before, gives us a lot of excitement towards where they might be going towards the rest of the season. Maybe they can continue putting work into TakeOver as the one developmental piece and helping him find his way back to LCS.
And it was a little bit more than just playing standard League of Legends, Josh. Did you see what TakeOver was doing in a lot of these games? He started off by diving onto Spyrax underneath his tower all by his lonesome. By the end of it, he's diving the whole team, bro! TakeOver was looking so good in this. This was the TakeOver show by the end of it. So TSM as a whole squad right now looking like a completely different beast. I mean, they are a completely different beast, and even though they're starting off at the bottom, not an animal.
Wait,
not the same
what's
one.
the difference between a
Completely
beast and
different
an
species.
animal? I don't know
Completely
anymore.
different
Thank
species.
you, Kobe
Josh.
Bryant.
Uh-oh.
Are you a different animal, but the same beast? That's what we're seeing coming out from TSM, right? And to go back to the TakeOver point, right? We were looking at him. We always knew he was sick on the Akali and the Silas on the melee mid laners, but showing that he can do it on majors as well is very, very cool. Being able to play a variety of different styles and still be able to make the plays gives us, again, a lot of excitement towards where TakeOver is going to be going. He wants to earn his way back as the only remaining member of the TSM Academy squad.
And for any teams watching out there, his multitasking is incredible. I'm pretty sure he was playing games while I was doing the interview with him yesterday. So, I mean, his multitasking is on point at that point. You got to watch out for it.
That was very funny. Just so you could hear that.
And like his delayed responses is like quick clicking. Yeah, it was a great time. Great time. But TSM Academy.
Other mid laners, everyone, yeah.
Yeah. Always appreciate TakeOver for the interviews. But also continuing the trend that we're talking about, Solo is back, baby. And he's still got it, Deserex.
Yeah, he's definitely still got it. He got to pull out some pretty big plays over with TSM. It was nice to see for TSM. I like it. This whole roster is it's an interesting roster to say because there's so much experience that's on him when you consider players like Anda, players like Solo. But as Joshi said, bringing that development over to TakeOver and now already clicking like a fine old machine is some great stuff for TSM.
Yeah, it's definitely. I like to see, you know, that Solo is able to continuously be in the scene, in the conversation. My question is what is he doing at Academy? Like, this guy is obviously just real good. But
you get a lot of
that's
teams
part of
who
the
ask
process,
the same thing, right? He's going up and down and up and down. I'm sure we'll see a little bit more of that, right? Going up against Kuma yesterday, I don't think was his toughest test, nor do I think he's likely to have his toughest test today either against Bradley, but it is an exciting moment for Solo to see just another opportunity to prove that he has what it takes and hopefully make it back towards the main stage.
You're
upset?
I can't.
You play for Fnatic too?
I can't believe you just said that to Bradley. No, I'm not. I'm not playing. I'm upset at what you said. we're gonna move past it. We'll have that conversation
TL
later.
Cast
I'll
is throwing
talk with
shade
you.
at
We'll
the
have a talk
TL
with you.
top laner. Man, Josh, what's going
I know,
on?
like what the heck, man? What the heck? Anyways, we have to continue the conversation because we got to see the big dog in the top lane yesterday. Concept whipping out the Nasus. Let's take a look at the smacking that happened.
He came.
Yo, Nasus would slap. Nasus will slap. And you look at this. I have been waiting to see a Nasus game. Flash over the wall. Concept is now in a 1-on-4 because Prismo can't get in there, but he's taking out Yawn. Is that enough damage down?
Oh boy, this is gonna be a fun 1v1. Check this.
Wither.
Bonk.
Okay, he's got the ulti, but he's still slow.
One bonk.
Harry, he's trying to get the
Two
Q
bonks.
cooldown so that he can find mobility. He can get to the blast cone and buy some distance away from Concept, but he's got so much ability
3
haste.
bonks.
It was very hard to play against the Nasus in the game, so I mean we had a lead and we threw the third dragon fight, so after that I think it was pretty hard. And game 2, I think Akali is just one of my very comfortable champions, and yeah, I was just very confident in that game. And there was no Nasus, so we didn't struggle as much. And
Gotta love some shenaniganeries. Shout out to Magical, but also the Doge is coming in big for Concept. Yes, not in game 2, and as Harry said, there's not an Nasus, so no big deal, right, Joshi?
True, and I know people like Alec Battery have been calling for, where's my Trundle, where's my Nasus, there are Callista in my games, you can just point and click this champion, and we got to see that coming through from Concept. And we know Bradley played it earlier in the split as well to decent success, and so it's one of those champions that's kind of been hovering underneath the surface, and definitely something that Concept should be willing to bring out again.
And I love that response out of Team Liquid. Game number 2, the first ban was the Nasus right away gone. And, for Yawn, I feel like he's going to be having nightmares. They're all going to start off the same way with the whisper, wither. And that's it right there.
Yeah.
Wakes up in a cold sweat.
For me, it was the change in the music to, like, the dog's barking. Because he's just walking him down like the whole. Oh my god, that's terrifying. But yeah, it's always fun. And Spawn, the coach for Team Liquid Academy, had some good words to say about the Nasus itself, but also maybe a little bit of tilt behind the words there, because the Nasus definitely unexpected, definitely a little bit out of the left field, but very strong in that moment. Joshi.
True. I love Spawn because he just lives so vicariously through his players, right? Every single time he takes it personally when they lose, right? I don't know if you remember his conversation that he had with Kelsey when Spyrax, threw multiple people into the fountain about whether or not FlyQuest had. What was it? Dumpstered on Team Liquid?
Yeah.
There's a
It was
up
the
for
gap,
the fans.
the gap conversation.
That's what it was. Yeah.
But it's always nice to see Spawn, as you said, Spawn living vicariously through his players, but as well wanting to, not get aggressed in draft that way. Don't want to face the Nasus, but it is on to TSM Academy today, which will be another, I feel like, tough test for them, as TSM Academy themselves looking very, very good. But that rounds out the overview of what we saw yesterday. I think, yes, you could talk about the TSM Academy conversation in a different light, saying that it should be this way, but I think in general, it was a huge day. Coming back from a break of a week for these players where, some were taking breaks, some were just scrimming, and seeing what developed over that time into this week, and seeing what happens at the end of the split here, right? We only have a couple weeks left, SRX.
Yeah, only a couple weeks left, but with that, you know, it's a second round robin. Anything can really happen, and we're already seeing those things that are just completely blowing our minds right now with the TSM upset, the EG upset, with the GG upset. You know, this standings, there's a reason why I said take a screenshot at the beginning of this, because I believe there's going to be some more upsets in our way.
You got anything about the upsets, Yoshi? Do you have
I mean, I got a couple
if we
teams.
continue to see them?
I got a couple teams that I don't think are where they're supposed to be in the standings right now. And the number one is, I think, Cloud9 is our one other team that should definitely be in contention for top 3. Team Liquid, 100 Thieves, Cloud9 are definitely my top 3 teams with CLG as a close 4th. But TSM, they're trying to make their way right on back up there. And with a whole new roster, I'm expecting them to climb relatively quickly. And if Evil Geniuses, if we saw what we saw yesterday was not just a flash in the pan, and my prediction that I made back in week 1 that they were going to be one of our best teams in Academy comes true, like, these standings will not stay the same. And teams that we've been thinking up in middle of the pack are going to have to continue fighting for that spot.
I'm just here for the arc of TSM Academy trying to get into the heart of Joshi at this point. We got to figure out how that's going to work out. But we do have a full slate of games ahead of us. We are here on the Path to LCS stream, but over on the Academy stream, twitch.tv/Academy, we will have an entire 3 best of 2s. Hopefully we'll be able to bring up the schedule. There we go. Evil Geniuses Academy taking on Dignitas Academy. Golden Guardians Academy taking on Cloud9 Academy. And Immortals Progressive versus CLG Academy to round it out. That is, again, on twitch.tv/Academy. Now here where you're already at, twitch.tv/Path to LCS. That's where we'll have TSM Academy taking on Team Liquid Honda Academy. We'll have 100 Thieves Academy taking on FlyQuest Academy as well. 2 back-to-back bangers, guys. Jesrex, I'm just ready to hear your calls, man. I'm ready to hear some hype calls for these games.
I'm ready for it. Even with this match right here, TSMTL.
oh.
I'm gonna sell this for you, Marcel. I'm gonna sell this as much as possible because I believe this is gonna be a banger matchup. Me and Josh have already talked a little bit about it, and we disagree with the ending stat line, but don't worry, Marcel, I got you covered.
All right. Joshi, you were gonna say something?
The important question, though, is Jan probably the #1 Honda supporter? Do you think he's done his morning rituals at the Honda Shrine?
I would say so. I would say it's a normal everyday.
It's a normal day.
Situation.
He wakes up.
All right.
Gotta go make sure he does.
Are you saying he didn't do it
prayers.
yesterday? Is that what happened?
Maybe not. I'm just saying I haven't captured Team Liquid loss yet.
It wasn't the right wording. They got to get the right wording there. Speaking of right wording, if you want to look for wording that's about in a developmental or anything, you got to go follow at Path to LCS because that's where all the Path to LCS updates are. That's where the Twitter is that has all the information, all the scheduling, all the content as well. If you want to look at our content, show us some love. It has been incredible to see how much we've grown just in the past little while. So thank you so much for all the love. If you're not following already, please go do so. And that being said, it is time for my analysts to be separated, to be upset at each other because it's TSM Academy versus Team Liquid Honda Academy.
I was not sure what that meant.
I knew where we were going. I knew where we were going.
Toes.
Are we playing a game show already? It's been early in the day.
No, it's not. What are you talking about? It's never too early for game shows. But it is the first matchup of the day. It's the first best of 2 we have after TSM Academy having huge roster changes. Team Liquid Academy staying the same. That was a big conversation throughout the entirety of the split so far. They will have a pretty tough test today, but it is a test that I feel like Team Liquid Academy are ready for at this moment here, Joshi.
They're our #1 team. They've been our #1 team for a reason. They have been looking really strong across the entire season, and they are still a team that is very convinced that they don't really lose to other teams. They mostly lose to themselves. And while there's a conversation about like how healthy of a mindset that is, as long as you're using it for self-development, as long as you're using it to say, look, we made these mistakes and we need to make sure that we don't make these mistakes again in the future and use that to go back into your VODs, I think Team Liquid will remain our top team for quite a while.
You know, this is a squad where we talked about a lot of what does it take? What is it going to take for Team Liquid to actually have the performance, have the moment, to get those LCS scouts to notice a lot of these members here who have already won the Proving Grounds from before? Well, being in this next split, it's still going to take a lot more, because now you're getting challenged by new faces. You have to take on the next generation that's already getting pulled up from the last Proving Grounds in spring. That's already getting pulled up from some of the open qualifiers and circuit qualifiers that we've seen in summer. It's a challenge for them. They have to hold the throne, and it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
But
and one of the players that one of the
Okay.
players that I think has really stepped up from spring, though, is Jan, right? Like, we always knew that he was a pretty decent AD carry, maybe still trying to find his way towards the top echelons, but the aggression that we've seen come out from him, just the limit testing that we've seen, has really allowed him to grow quite a bit as a player. And that could be something, right? We already know Ayla has an opportunity to go up. We know that Armeo, he's been that journeyman as well, going in and out of the LCS. I feel like Jan might be the next one on the block for somebody that has an opportunity to go play.
Yeah, it's got to be between him and Harry, I feel like, but it's still obviously a lot of things to go through. And that's where I love the conversation we're having, where it's like they need to prove themselves against these new bloods and things like that, where as being like the veteran squad, I guess, them with FlyQuest. But I still feel like that also empowers their story. If they're able to continue consistency, continue domination, even no matter how many doors are opening in other teams. I think that's an interesting conversation in its own right. And across the other side, talking about open doors, TSM Academy changing up the roster after the week-long break, changing it up by bringing down LCS players, promoting 3 of our players. By the way, congratulations to those 3 players. Can't wait to watch them this weekend. But it was a bit of a shakeup here. And with, as we were saying, only a couple weeks left. It's an interesting addition, but you also see the mainstays in a developmental, in Anda, in solo, coming into it, Tactical Mia, the LCS bottom lane, needing to find that stability. I think when you look at this team, it's scary on paper, Deserex.
Yeah, it is very scary. The amount of experience that you have with this roster of TSM, you know, this is not your son's TSM anymore. This is your dad's TSM. Look, Billy Ciando right there. Do you know he won the first Proving Grounds? All jokes aside, this guy is so incredibly potent at making the rest of his team shine out. You can see it right now over to, you know, getting Tactical to pop off. But more importantly, throughout the last series that we saw with this roster of TSM, a lot of it was enabling Takeover to pop off and bringing that experience to every single lane and knowing where to play towards his strengths.
Yeah, he's going up against Armeo.
Yep.
Right. And this is the test, right? These are our 2 jungle masterminds that we have coming through. Probably the 2 strongest control junglers we see below the LCS level in North America. Both of them consistently looking for ways to stifle plays of the opposing jungler and making sure that their lanes are consistently strong, right? They're not the carry-style junglers typically where they are going to go make all the plays and get themselves super far ahead. And so we have a situation where with both junglers, kind of these control junglers, not necessarily trying to be incredibly aggressive, it turns our attention almost to the lanes, because I feel like these 2 guys, you know, you fight fire with fire normally, but this might be fighting ice with ice, and just, ooh, very cool
what
riff
happens
today.
when you fight ice with ice?
It all melts.
Does it melt though? It's ice? I feel like that's the opposite of what it would do. It would cool itself.
I don't know. EPA might have something to say about it.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. But I think it is such a cool conversation to have. Ha, I got you. I can't even continue. I couldn't do that with a straight face. But we're talking a lot about how both these junglers set up the rest of the team. But that's what's so crazy to me is we have seen both these junglers look so good because they are setting up their team. And yes, we've seen some faltering for both these guys in their past iterations. But I think into this setup, and especially against each other, it's going to be a bloody knuckle brawl here, I feel like. A lot of the times we're going to see that control being given in terms of objectives and fighting over those neutrals. And that is what I feel like is going to come down to that communication we want to see. Is that where Team Liquid Academy have the upper hand because Armeo being the general of the team for the last while at this point, the communication, the synergy is already built up there where TSM Academy themselves will not have that to the same extent. I think that's like, it's a niche conversation to have, but in this matchup in particular, Joshi, I think it's so important.
And it's another spot, right, where we know that players like Armeo are so focused on trying to track where the enemy jungler is, right? You know, people say he doesn't have hands, but it's because he's spending so much time thinking about the game. Where is enemy jungler? What is he likely to be doing at this point? Who needs to be playing back? And he's communicating that. And it means he can't pay as much attention to what he's doing. But it's also a spot where both junglers can try and mix it up a little bit. They can do some things that are a little unexpected. I have some very distinct memories of watching Armeo last year. He was playing Trundle. He hit the red buff on the bottom side while they're on the blue side of the map. They take the red buff. He runs top lane on the other side of the map to come around the enemy top laner and gank them after doing a single camp, right? Those are the kind of things I'm almost wondering we're going to have to see between these two junglers. Absolutely wild pathing in order to throw off the sense of the other jungler who we know is good, who we know has had opportunities to play LCS, and is looking again to try and prove that they are the better control jungler we have.
And I want to bounce off that a little bit because when you look at the career that both of these junglers have had, very, very long careers. Between them, it's about 16 years of experience, 8 years each since they've started competitive so far. And we've seen different iterations of them shape up and form. Back in Proving Ground Spring, the first time of last year, the first time we saw Proving Grounds played through No Org taking that championship, Anda was playing a lot of Nidalee, a lot of Udyr. And now, coming into the circuit qualifier, suddenly changing up into more of a tank play style with the Wukong, with the Poppy. That's something we know Armeo more for, who has been changing up their play style as well, when we saw in the earlier weeks where Armeo took Talia and took a carry position off of Team Liquid. So we've seen a lot of development. We've seen a lot of changes coming out from both of the storied careers of Anda and Armeo, and it's going to be an exciting match to see what point of the development they're both at when they show up on the Rift here.
Yeah, I think that's for me, like seeing if TSM Academy can crest over the performances from yesterday. I will say, though, in those performances yesterday for TSM Academy, there was some hyphiness, and I think it helped them out in that series, but especially zoning a little bit more on the bottom lane. Tactical is playing without a ban. He's back in Academy. He's feeling good. I saw him tweeting about it yesterday, but he's feeling good. He's going in aggressive. He pulled out the Lucian Nami yesterday and was just going ham every time he could, and I feel like we can have that today for TSM Academy. It was a strength for them yesterday, but going against Team Liquid Academy, you are against Ayla, who has been praised so heavily, and Jan, who, as we were talking about earlier, himself has been praised so heavily. You might not necessarily get away with that the same, even if it was against, the bot lane with cheat codes, so to speak, yesterday, Joshi.
I mean, if we're looking at the jungle as the ice and ice, the bottom lane is definitely two sets of fire, right? We see Jan and Tactical just willing to go for a lot of duels, just very aggressive in the plays that they will go against each other. And yesterday we saw Tactical just go in aggressively against Tomo, and it didn't feel like Tomo had all the answers, right? After the one duel that he lost after about a 50 HP difference, he never really gave Tactical another opportunity to go for those duels. And Jan, I think he's the other side. He'd be like, oh, you want that one? That's okay. I'll get you next time. We're going to go for another time. We're going to go bare knuckles, no summoners this time. Sell your items. We'll meet you in the Dragon Pit.
Hey, I'm here hoping for that one. We'll see how it all works out, though, because Champion Select is ready to go for our first game of the day. So TSM Academy, Team Liquid Academy kicking it off. Deserex, Joshi, take it away.
All right, thank you, Mazel, and let's head into that Champion Select right now. Team Liquid Honda versus TSM Academy, and this matchup, I mean, we have our disagreements right now, Josh. You're still expecting this to go very heavily towards Team Liquid. I see this new TSM. They have a lot of fresh life in them. I can see them taking a 2-0. Realistically, I see this going 1-1.
If I could give partial games, I already told you this, Eric, I would say that Team Liquid probably win 1.6 of them. Over the long period of time, and I think I have to round that up to a 2-0 in favor of Team Liquid. I don't think they were particularly shook based on what they saw yesterday going up against Golden Guardian, and this is a spot where we know that Solo beat up Kumo up in the top lane yesterday, but he had double counter picks, and we saw a couple of Gragas games coming out from Kumo. While Bradley did pick Gragas yesterday, I don't think he's going to be going for the same kind of playstyle here going into Solo, who he knows is just going to try and run him over with some kind of physical bruiser.
All right, so the first ban's coming out now. Going very Enchanter heavy will be TSM as they ban away the Karma and the Seraphine, taking out the Zeri, who's been one of the more prominent picks. Seraphine on top of that Wukong, the most winning of junglers so far onto this patch. So the Lucian and Senna taken away. So first pick, waiting for it to get locked in. You said it's going to be Ezreal. Is it? No. They're going for the Callista, Josh.
That's bold, right? We saw what happened to them yesterday when they actually just went for the Nasus pick. Trundle does a very similar thing, but we haven't seen Onda play that so far this split. Historically, during when he was on no org, both this split in the Proving Grounds qualifiers and last year, he was willing to play it quite a bit. So we know it's in his repertoire. And TSM, now that they're going to be coming right on back, Tactical, one of his most played champions throughout his entire career, very ready to go toe-to-toe up against Team Liquid. And I feel like TSM, they see this Kalista and they're like, we're going to fight it. We're not just going to let you get away with it. We're even taking away the Renata.
So grabbing the Renata, they're not going to allow that combo that you were just talking about, Kalista Renata. Oh, so strong at B. Tactical will be on the Aphelios, so going to get that late game scaling online for TSM Academy. The response out of Team Liquid is going to be the Bear, so grabbing the Volibear, some tanky engage, can get some dive onto those towers, go deep with it, pair it alongside with the Kalista. I do like that potential that you have already drafted early for Team Liquid.
Yeah, and on 12, ooh, okay, we started seeing this pop up as well. Tomo and Diamond, I believe, played it most recently, where they brought this through. The entire idea, right? You ult the Amumu, you throw him in, it's like a Pokemon. He goes and stuns everyone, and suddenly has 2 bandage charges still left to go. But Team Liquid, they already have a lot of engage tools, and Volibear on 12-12B, after the hotfix nerfs that we saw earlier in the patch, is kind of the uncontested best jungler, all on his own. But Takeover getting his signature Silas, ready to throw it right down. And you know what is really good? Amumu. You're so strong when you're able to pick that up, and because you're building AP, you just have a Amumu, but better because you're also Silas.
Yeah, basically Team Liquid have drafted good team fight for TSM thanks to the Silas lock-in that we're seeing out of TSM. So yeah, thank you for the Amumu. We'll be glad to take that one. And yeah, I really like the team fight out of TSM so far. The Renata, the Silas with the stolen curse of the Sad Mummy, the late game team fight that you're going to have with this Aphelios. So far so good in the draft. So we're going to start to wait out those solo lanes.
Yeah. So the other thing we have to remember that Silas can actually do is take away the Kalista ultimate, right? And typically is paired up with the jungler most often, where you just give them a get out of jail free card. So suddenly the mid jungle duo for Takeover and Enda can be really threatening for Armeo and Harry, because while Volibear is like the uncontested best duelist in a lot of ways on this patch, he's not necessarily going to be the most flexible of champions. You know what the Bear is going to do. He's going to run at you, he's going to stun you, he's going to hit you with his claws, and that's it. He's done everything he's going to do, right? Whereas Takeover and Enda, they now have a lot of freedom in order to try and play around this a number of different ways. You can pick champions that don't have gap closers because you can give them a gap closer.
Now the second phase of the draft coming in as TSM are going to hover onto the Talia. I'm very interested on how this mid lane matchup is going to go. Harry has been one of our best performing mid laners, bar none, when it comes to the lane, when it comes to the KDA, when it comes to stats. Harry does bring it. The lock-in of the Poppy. This is something that Ando was willing to take into the Proving Grounds for the open qualifiers and did quite well with, so that's getting locked in for TSM.
And it does decently well into the Bear, right? It's not particularly exciting there, but it is pretty darn good going up against the Amumu, going up against the Kalista. And, oh no, we already have the Volibear. I think it's unlikely we get this locked in, but I think they know I want it. And it is going to be the Gangplank going over to Bradley. I believe he's still undefeated on this since his Proving Grounds run.
No, he's had one loss.
Oh, he has?
He's had one loss.
I blame you, Cubby. This is Cubby's fault.
It was a Cubby cast, too. It was a Cubby cast, so you can't blame him.
But there we go.
Yeah, next lock in Cassiopeia.
So there is a ton of zone control coming out from Team Liquid, a ton of just raw DPS, but one of the things that they are going to have to worry about is if this Death Ball like loses one of its pieces, it crumbles pretty quickly, right? You suddenly are going to be routed. There's a lot of chase down potential coming through from the Silas, from the Poppy, and if this Aatrox gets locked in, they can chase you down over long periods of time. So TSM, they have decided that they're going to be playing on this knife's edge throughout the course of the game, but they have some good ultimates from Takeover. He's on one of his best champions, and as long as he is able to play in these team fights the way that we know that he can, I actually like TSM's draft quite a bit. I feel like this game is riding on how well Takeover is going to do and if Anda can actually enable him.
I feel like TSM's draft was a good reactionary draft. It was a good red side draft, to say the least, to what Team Liquid have grabbed up. They saw the Kalista grabbed early. Okay, we're going to zoom in the Renata. All right, we see you have some T-fight potential. We're going to take the Sylas. So a lot of this working really well for TSM in the draft. I do like their draft as well, but again, the zone control you were talking about for Team Liquid is something you can't scoff at. Once this scales to the late game for Team Liquid, Gangplank and Cassiopeia are threats when it comes to that team fight, and of course the dive potential that you have from Team Liquid to enable this early game. Armeo plays so well when it comes to the early stages of the game. You have the Cannon Barrage on Bradley to help enable potentially bot lane dives, as you do have the Kalista locked in for Team Liquid. There's a lot that TSM have to weather to get to that state.
I think they can. And I think one of the secondary places we have kind of looked over a little bit has been the top lane. So we'll talk about that a little bit more as we load onto the Rift.
Yeah, so ready to get onto the Rift. This is going to be the hype matchup right here, Josh. I've been waiting for it. Team Liquid Honda versus TSM Academy. And this is a brand new, revitalized TSM. Only takeover remaining the same. You can argue Mia a little bit. He was here at the beginning of the Academy split, but only there for that first week before he went out to the main LCS roster. Now returning to the Academy roster alongside Tactical. Really revamped is this TSM squad. But the biggest test is now in front of them in Team Liquid.
True. And one of the ways that I think they can pass the test is Solo. He's got the counter pick up on the top lane as Team Liquid show a little bit on the bottom side. But I want to be real. Bradley's having a rough split. While they are winning quite a bit so far as Team Liquid, we've been seeing that Bradley's been taking a lot of odd fights. He will go in like 1v3, 1v4 sometimes and end up kind of losing his head. Literally and figuratively. And I feel like for somebody who is like role switch from the mid lane to the top lane, we gave him a lot of passes in the spring, right? He was losing some lanes that he maybe shouldn't, but he wasn't as used to them. He's had a whole split now. We're 2/3 of the way through the second split. We have to start looking at how well his role swap has actually gone, and Solo dismantled Kumo yesterday, and I think Kumo's been a better laner than Bradley a lot of the time.
We'll see how that bodes for Bradley. Given how he's played, he still has his strong points when it comes to warding out and trying to keep safe for the most part. His team fights are absolutely phenomenal. It's just that it's a lot of that early laning that we've been seeing him get outmatched in these team fight and a lot of these fights towards the top side. Mostly through the isolation that top lane has kind of had since 12.10. And you're still seeing that right now as Armeo doesn't want to play, doesn't want to path towards that top side, doesn't want to give Bradley too much attention, going to leave him to farm up on his own. More play towards the bottom lane where you do have that very aggressive draft coming out from both sides, Renata, Amumu, and Kalista.
Yeah. And you definitely have a lot of aggression. We already looked at it. Tactical and Mia going with the Lucian Nami yesterday. They didn't have the most impressive laning phases going up against Tomo and Diamond. What's up?
That's a bad word, Josh. We don't use those two names together. Lucian Nami.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be the place that's free of Lucian Nami, Josh.
But we're not. We would like to be, but we didn't quite make it.
We almost made it.
We almost made it. We were doing quite a good job.
Oh, Bradley. Is he just going to go outright for the solo kill right now? Yes, Bradley will get
Bradley.
a 1v1 versus Solo.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. He just dismantles, goes for the play, and Solo didn't have anything.
Counter pick nothing, Josh.
Okay, well, that is a one good spot. One of the places I was worried about for Team Liquid has just solved itself as Bradley finds a solo kill, and his wave is in a pretty darn good spot as well. He just needs to be careful that it doesn't push too aggressively.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Solo trying to get a little vengeance on himself, but with that teleport up there, gonna shove the wave in. It will force Bradley to use his teleport a little bit later, but now look at the fight going on. Over by this Rift Herald, Jan looking to jump in. Gotta respect this duo that's going right into TSM's face. Now Jan over the wall, able to get the spears right into the back of TSM. Slammed in. Anda will not be bailed out. He will go down. 2 kills going over to Team Liquid as Takeover tries to find a kill in return, but a hop over the wall for Jan is going to result in a double for Harry. Team Liquid bringing it to TSM.
Absolutely nuts coming through. Okay, Ayla playing a little bit, making sure that Harry can get back. That's the kind of play that makes Ayla one of the best supports, but this is a disaster for TSM. I said that they might have an advantage up in the top lane, and they get solo killed. We look in the bottom half of the map where we were looking at Tactical and Mia being very aggressive, maybe able to take Yan and Ayla to task, but they just get dismantled in this fight. Watch how Ayla is able to navigate this, right? He hops over the wall in order to make sure he can stay in this fight, and unfortunately for Anda, I mean, he gets bailed out, but he doesn't recognize it in time, has to run all the way back, and Yan just gets to free hit because Tactical was never able to walk up. The same kind of aggression that did him well yesterday doesn't come through today.
And how isolated Takeover was in that last fight. I believe it was about 5 fangs that went in before Takeover was able to join as the bandage toss lands onto Tactical.
Where's the Ren?
More
Where's
damage onto Tactical. Another bandage toss. The Ren not able to finish it off as Tactical falls. The bailout will not save him, and Mia follows suit. A double kill for Ayla's Amumu.
3 kills for Ayla, 5 assists for Yan, already coming through. Magical must be so happy at this point.
Yep.
The supports get the kills, the 80 carries get the farm, and this is fantastic brinksmanship from Yan, right? We were already praising him for how aggressive he was and understanding his limits, but notice how low he actually goes in this. He never used a fight in the previous play, or he never used a flash, and so he just needs to get away. He flashes away from Tactical, there's not enough damage, and he bleeds out. And then, of course, Ayla just falls around and cries to death.
He's a complete maniac. Ayla's bloodthirsty today, 3-0-2 to start this off. Only 5 minutes into this, and he's matching a KDA that matches with our time on the board right now. As our Mayo now looking to set up over towards this top side. It's not looking good for TSM right now. They're definitely struggling as they take a 3K deficit quite early.
Yeah, and typically Team Liquid are looking at this kind of lead by about the 15-minute mark. And Mayo can win this, but I don't think Ando will stick around as he does hop away. Typically, Team Liquid are looking at just under a 2K lead around the 15-minute mark. They have already blown right past that. So this is where they need to be a little bit careful that they don't get in their own heads. They need to make sure they don't lose to themselves, right? Because you have a 20 CS lead mid, and they're just going.
This is so disrespectful. Cannon Barrage makes it hard for TSM's bot lane to escape the damage that's being thrown right at them. A double kill for Yan.
Look, I asked yesterday if it was too early when Will got a triple kill on the Trundle to call out for 100 Thieves, and the answer was yes. It was definitely too early. That game went to 50 minutes, but I don't think Team Liquid are going to let this one go long, Eric.
No.
They are picking up the Dragon relatively early, and as soon as they pick this up, you know what they're going to do, Eric? What do Team Liquid always do? They go for the Rift Herald. They're going to send Yan back bottom lane, but Ayla will recall. He will walk towards the top side, and Team Liquid will take everything off of the map.
Prime positioning for Team Liquid. Such a strong start coming out for Team Liquid. You know, this is the reason why they're one of our top 2 teams right now. The only other team that really challenges them would be 100 Thieves, but given a performance like this, they're making an argument to be #1. Bradley showing up in the top side against Solo. The rest of Team Liquid bringing these fights to TSM over on this bot side, over around the mid lane, around the bot lane. Team Liquid are looking like champions.
Oh, and Team Liquid are also mixing it up. They're not going for the Rift Herald right away. Ayla walks towards the bottom side. Harry does a little bit of damage. He has no flash.
Coming on to Harry. Petrifying Gaze goes out both ways. A double stun coming out, but Harry will still fall. Takeover has to head for the heals as our Mayo is just waiting to pick up that kill. Takeover will be fine. Gank successful for Anda, finally getting TSM on the board.
On the board, no perfect game coming out for Team Liquid, and Armeo, he ran bottom lane, but just comes mid immediately. Doesn't even have time to finish his Krugs. But this is a pretty brutal situation, right? Because I definitely like Team Liquid's composition even later in the game. Callista will sometimes fall off, but TSM's composition is so short range. Callista gets to hit during later game team fights as well. This champion doesn't really have a spot where it becomes irrelevant, and now Team Liquid, they're hitting the Rift Herald, but they also need to be careful because Anda's in the bottom lane. Okay, Bradley.
Solo. He wants some revenge right now. That solo kill that happened earlier, it will be returned Nope, able to eat some oranges, still getting lower. Is going to be Solo, a big hill. Oh! Flash from Bradley will deny Solo in the 1v1. Bradley nets out ahead.
Oh my god, Bradley is just better today, man. He takes down Solo again in what was a horrible situation to start off that fight. But the bottom lane, Anda strikes again. He finds another kill, this time going to pick it up on Jan. That's 2 shutdowns that TSM have picked up. That's a lot of gold that they've suddenly grabbed off the map. And while they did lose the Rift Herald, Bradley did get the top side. We're seeing shimmers of hope coming through from the TSM roster, and Anda, the jungle mastermind for TSM, yet again looking to make plays to keep them in the game.
Spotted out by a control ward this time. Well, Takeover is under attack. Petrifying Gaze does not land. Takeover will survive this time, but Harry just waiting. Now Ayla starting to position forward. Does have that Curse of the Sad Mummy. Clearing out another control ward is going to be Anda. Harry a little bit too far away, does not have his ultimate. So it's just pressure coming out from Team Liquid all over the place right now. Scuttle going to be acquired on that top side. We're going to take another look at what happened down here, as we did get that 1v1 with Bradley, so we didn't get a clear indication of just how this fight played out.
Yep. Oh, this is just very clean coming through, right? Jan can't auto attack during this time because he's Kalista. He's got the steadfast presence through from Anda, so very textbook stuff coming through from Anda, right? I don't necessarily think of him as being mechanically a god, but he stands in good places way more than most other junglers.
Anda right places to be for TSM to try and get them a lead. Now Team Liquid going to try and deny that as they start setting their attention towards this topside. TSM realizing what's happening right now thanks to that control ward applied. Will start to back out ahead of time. Rift Herald going to be placed by Team Liquid to go ahead and rush down this tower and get that gold on the Jan.
Okay. Harry and Takeover fighting a little bit. They get the whole turret? Not quite.
Gonna go down.
Very close.
Jan still positioning forward, so close to going down. Soft Breeze could really take it down at this point, but no minion wave to help out. Finally going to get a little bit closer as Jan starts to dash forward. A couple of autos onto Tactical to try and dissuade him from this defense.
Both junglers are here.
Oh, and here we go. Curse and Sad Mummy going to go out. Lands onto 2. The bot lane of TSM in a lot of hurt and a lot of pain. They will head for the heals as Tactical's going to burn. Cannon Barrage going to go down. Team Liquid chasing down TSM. Anda with one more spear will fall. Tactical follows suit. Team Liquid with the triple in the bot lane.
And what do you know, Eric? You called it out at the very beginning of the game. The Cannon Barrage being the difference maker. Solo.
Oh,
Solo.
again, Bradley going for the
Where's the
1v1. Will Solo get his vengeance? No! Bradley says no. Will deny him once again. Solo was so happy to say, welcome back to Academy. Bradley delivers.
What is happening all of a sudden? Bradley just taking control of the top lane. He did this to Tenacity not that long ago too, right? In the Akali versus the Olaf matchup, and now Bradley, he must have heard something, right? There's been a question of like how well he's actually been playing and finding 3 solo kills back to back. Solo, you gotta redact that tweet from what we saw previously, because things are going from bad to worse, and this is just brutal, right? This Cannon Barrage being used bottom lane is no longer available for the dual top lane, but it's just Jan hopping forward. Ayla and Jan constantly finding the little bits of damage that they need to, and just gorgeous stuff already coming out from Team Liquid. It just feels like everybody is making these individual outplays, and it feels like Anda's the only one who can stand up to them.
You're just seeing this 1v1 again. Solo keeps getting so close, Josh. He keeps getting so close, but Bradley, he limit tests and he wins out each and every time.
I don't know what it is. I legit don't know like what is happening, right? Bradley just looked so good in this game. And now, with so much pressure on the map, right? They took the bottom lane turret. Team Liquid are rotating towards the top side. They're the Hexatech Dragon they want, but Harry.
We go on to Harry. Petrifying Gaze is going to go both ways. The knockup goes through and Harry goes down. TSM still finding that success in the mid lane, still trying to get more gold onto Takeover.
But they're bleeding on the rest of the map, right? It's hard for them to find enough to overcome the 7,000 gold deficit that they're currently staring down.
TSM, second half of this round robin, completely different roster, but it is the same Team Liquid that is in your face right now, looking to set up a play over towards this top side for the dive. Nice sidestep coming out of Jan, but going to eat too many tower shots to continue this play.
Yeah, Jan taking more damage from the structure than he does from solo in the trade, but they back away. Wonder what Team Liquid want to do. Typically, I was expecting them to go for the Rift Herald early on. They got the first one, they brought it down to the bottom lane, but there's a dragon that is on the table, and this is where Team Liquid can really cement their lead. If they can deny TSM the dragon, they can deny them the Rift Herald. Those are some of the major comeback tools that Team SM, not Team Liquid, TSM have to actually come back into this game. And Team Liquid, they're doing step one, right? They got the big lead. Step two, deny any win conditions from your opponents, and as this Hextech Dragon goes down, TSM are not in position to contest.
And this is rough for TSM. Historically, when Team Liquid is in this situation, they don't let up. They're really good at taking a lot of these early neutrals. Now TSM going to try and find a slip-up as Armeo stays for a little bit too long, forced to burn the ultimate takeover, still trying to get the chase, but can't lock down the bear.
Just a little bit too short. Now Harry's here. He's got the Leandri's completed. This is... Okay.
You're so close.
Okay, Team Liquid. Spring Armeo never goes for that, but now Summer Armeo is here to play, just being cheeky because he is so confident in his ability to out. Tactical.
Careful there.
As cleanse.
He does have cleanse, but there's a bandage toss. There's a Curse of the Sad Mummy waiting to lock him down. Still Team Liquid going to play it a little bit safer here, not fully realizing who's in the area for TSM. The counter engage would be pretty nasty right there, and they don't need to play for the counter engage, right? Because look at this top side right now. Jan, solo turret all by his lonesome, now has, look at that lead, nearly 4K in comparison to Tactical.
And we got to go back to the question we asked at the beginning of the day, right? What does this team need to do to prove to scouts they are ready to go to the next level, right? Beating up on a bunch of LCS players seems like a pretty darn good way to say we deserve it.
Look at this, Solo. He's a little bit tired of Bradley now, realizes he's not going to win that fight. Well, Solo, you're not going to win this one either. Harry with the 1v1 in the bottom lane. Solo, just play for the team fight, man. You're not getting solo kills anytime soon.
He's going for the Eclipse build as well, right? He knows he needs to get in and do enough damage, but he's just so far behind the curve.
Oh, now return of damage from Tactical, going after Jan. Jan taking a bit of punishment right there, but able to back out will be Team Liquid again. Solo suffering so much, now finally finishes that Eclipse, but look at Team Liquid. They finish Mythics across the board right now. They are not worried about Solo.
No. Solo will do his best. If he continues trying for these like big plays, maybe something happens eventually.
Go Armeo looking for an engage, gonna go on to Mia, Curse of the Sad Mummy, gets utilized, takeover, looking to use one of his own hostile takeover, does not get onto Jan as Ayla forced to go back in, Tactical runs low, Bradley gonna run him right down, there is the bailout, but there's no assist to be had, Tactical falls, and it's gonna be 3 picked up by Team Liquid as they march right into the mid lane.
Oh man, and this is the spot where TSM, if they can't win that, if they can't win the fight where Takeover has the Curse of Sad Mummy, lands it onto Jan to start off the fight. If that's not going to be a win for TSM, you have to ask what will be. They're down 10,000 gold at only 17 minutes. They are down 2 dragons. The Rift Herald still in Armeo's pocket. And let's remember, Eric, this composition from Team Liquid, they do Baron on spawn if they're this far ahead, but watch Takeover, right? He gets in, he catches multiple people, but because he's counter-stunned, he can't get the follow-up onto Jan, and Jan just walks away in a straight line. It's the bane of all melee champions, and Team Liquid, with their solo laners, their heroes coming through at the end, there's no way for TSM to escape. They're out of cooldowns.
It was so close to working out. That hostile takeover followed Jan to the edge of the earth, but Jan just having a little inch more to be able to walk out of it. And now Team Liquid, they don't lose a damn thing. Gold lead is so strong for them. They're just looking to close this one out quite soon, and there's not much TSM can really do about it. You're looking for the places where they can fight back. You know, the shining point has been Takeover, but even he is so far behind. Even Tactical's late game scaling, it's going to be a while before we get there. 0-4-1 Tactical is. The resources for TSM to get back into this are far from coming back.
Yeah, I was looking at what happened with, I believe it was Cowrie versus BMFX yesterday, where it's just like 2.5 items Cowrie's cluster was up. Now it's only about, you know, it's like an entire item in a BF sword that we're seeing as the lead for Yon over Tactical. Tactical does not get to play League of Legends for quite a while yet. Team Liquid, they have 2 lanes of pressure right now, and Harry just spits on Tactical and takes away half his HP.
Disgusting stuff to see, and this is what TSM have to respond to. Trying to defend Siege, but the Siege is so good out of Team Liquid, and see right there, Team Liquid are just itching to find an engage. Underneath the tower, Ayla doing a bandage toss in the mid lane. Harry sieging this tower all by his lonesome, will be successful. 350 gold in the pocket. The Siege hitting all points of TSM's base, and TSM, they don't have an engage. They don't have a way back in. They're just watching their base go up in flames.
As it goes up in flames, I kind of want to go back, right? Because we looked at Yon and Ayla. I've been very much of the opinion that if Ayla was just placed on an LCS team tomorrow, he'd be an upgrade for probably 8 out of 10 teams, right? Like, he is that good. Yon and Ayla taking on Tactical and Mia. We saw Tactical and Mia just coming down from LCS, and Yon and Ayla beat them up. It was not close. And they didn't have that much help either, right? They in fact got ganked by Anda more than Armeo really had to protect here in the bottom lane.
Okay,
Yon
those
and
cannon
Ayla,
barrages, though.
True. But what about the other 3 fights?
You're right.
You know, Bradley gets his credit, but I think there can be no higher expectation that you can have of, like, I should be an LCS when I can beat an LCS bottom lane.
Arguably one of the best bot lanes. At this point, you can't even really say, what a beautiful sidestep. You can't even really say an Academy, you know, an LCS overall. This squad, you know, this duo of Yon and Ayla, now going to be tested over towards his top side. Look at Ayla looking for the engage. Curse the Sad Mummy, now on deck, on to Takeover. He goes, and Takeover lockdown will go golden as Yon is going to hop around, jump around, be able to outplay and save the day for Team Liquid as they're going to bring more spears into Anda. A double kill coming out for Yon. Team Liquid just looking to close out.
And you notice, like, even there, Eric is like, yeah, you know, this is pretty cool, but it's expected, right? This is what we know Team Liquid can do. They're this far ahead, and between those two things, if Team Liquid isn't finding these leads anymore, then, you know, that's something that we should be paying attention to. But Yon...
Poor Yon. He even failed to hop with the Q. Unfortunate.
It's okay. Even the mighty can fall a little bit, but it's not quite a perfect game. 3 kills have been given up. Props to Enda, where it is due. But this one's over. Right? Yon's doing this, and I'm actually really impressed how well he's able to dodge away from these abilities as well as stay outside of the range of the Steadfast Presence. That's a very narrow band that you have to be constantly able to push around. And the rest of this fight, like, you know, credit to Team Liquid for playing with the edge of how strong they actually are. Because I don't think that every team goes for this play, but Team Liquid, you know, to be honest, they don't do anything mechanically interesting. They're just so much stronger.
An attempted last stand now coming out from TSM as Ayla gets locked down for a little bit. Curse the Sad Mummy going to come out from Takeover. He hops back towards his squad, but Anda gets isolated and eliminated. Now Tactical looking to fight back, but his support oh so low. Still trying to bring the damage, but Tactical, the bailout, it will not be enough. Team Liquid already grabbing 3, but they want the clean sweep. They want to sweep the floor with TSM. They need to chase down Solo. They need to chase down Takeover. While Takeover might find safety, it's still 4 down, and the game easily won by Team Liquid.
I know, it's nuts. Team Liquid still have 4 ultimates after that fight. They fought with Curse the Sad Mummy down. Cannon Barrage, I don't know if it came up, but it is still available at the end of that fight. Team Liquid didn't even break a sweat in that one, and they take game 1 in a dominating fashion.
Waiting to close out right now, knocking at the door of TSM. Now here comes the hop coming right in for Armeo and Team Liquid. At this point, it's just formal business work. Got to put on the last little kills. make sure that this is going to be done and dusted for Team Liquid taking game number 1.
Okay, I just had to make sure nothing crazy happened. I got burned once when Team Liquid were trying to mess with Spirax, but not gonna be having a repeat of that one. And earlier in the season, Spawn made the claim that his goal is to have Team Liquid Academy get us in and out of a series in less than an hour of game time. We were just under 24 minutes on that one. We have a bit of a buffer, right? As long as we're under about 36 minutes. Team Liquid have achieved that goal, but this, I was expecting Team Liquid to win. I was not expecting Team Liquid to win this hard, right? Bradley, probably the one person on Team Liquid where we're looking at still trying to prove that he deserves to be one of the best top laners in the league, just solo killed Solo 4 times. What?
What happened over there? It was so close many times, but Bradley had the patience to wait out a lot of what Solo was bringing with those cleaves, flashing them out time and time again. But that's not the only place that was won. It was won in the mid lane. It was won in the bot lane. Armeo did what Armeo does and enabled his team. Not a single kill, but that's okay. He has 16 assists. He lit up his squad. He set them up for success. Now, Team Liquid with a very dominant performance in this game number 1, showing why they are the kings. We're going to throw it over a short break while we get our host back and set up for the intermission so we can get ready for game number 2. So be sure to stay tuned.